Welcome. Today, we're going to dig into a real head-scratcher in the stock market. It's the story of this tiny, almost forgotten mining company that might just be sitting on an absolutely unbelievable treasure.
So what got us started on this? Well, it was this really bold claim from a recent analyst report. I mean, come on, when you see a headline like that, you just have to stop and ask, could that actually be true?
And that question leads to this financial puzzle that we're going to try and unpack. The numbers here are just so far apart, it almost looks like a typo. How is that even possible?
And it looks like we aren't the only ones starting to ask these questions. After years of basically flatlining, the company's stock has suddenly shot up. Somebody, somewhere, is starting to pay attention. Okay, so let's dive in and figure out what's going on.
To really solve this thing, we've got to start by unpacking the numbers. It's a classic tale of what the market thinks something is worth versus what might actually be in the ground.
So our story takes place way up in Canada's Yukon territory. And look, this is a really important detail because we're not talking about some risky, unstable place. We're in a world-class, totally mining-friendly jurisdiction. The location alone gives this whole thing a lot of credibility.
Now, the asset at the heart of this whole thing is the Blende Project. The company owns it outright, 100%. It's already known to be the biggest deposit of its kind in the whole area, stretching out over 6 kilometers. But here's the real kicker. It's still open for expansion. That means it could get even bigger than what we already know. Okay, so to really understand this massive gap in valuation, we need to look at two totally different sets of numbers. And believe me, this is where the mystery really starts to get good. First up, we've got the company's official technical report from back in 2018. This is the hard data, the foundation for everything, and I want you to look at that inferred row. We're talking almost 34 million ounces of silver and over 1 billion pounds of both lead and zinc. I mean, that is a huge resource, no matter how you slice it.
But here is the absolute key, the most crucial point. That whole report is based on metal prices from 2018. Silver was at $19 an ounce. Today, it's way, way higher.
And that's where this new analyst report comes in. See, they did what the market just hadn't bothered to do. They reran all the numbers, but with today's much higher metal prices. And they did something else smart. They converted all that lead and zinc into a silver equivalent value. It just makes it way easier to see the total potential in one single number.
And the result of that simple update? A truly staggering 371 million ounces of silver equivalent. That's what you get when you combine all the metals at today's prices into one number. This number right here is the entire foundation for the bull case. So, okay, we've established this massive asset. Now let's look at the other side of the mystery, what the stock market actually thinks it's worth. And this is where things just get bizarre. So, on one side of the scale, you've got this enormous potential resource sitting in the ground, 371 million ounces of silver equivalent.
And on the other side, you've got the stock market valuing the entire company that owns all of it at just over $2 million. Just let that sink in for a second. The market is saying this entire deposit is worth less than a nice house in Vancouver.
If you actually do the math, it works out to the market putting a value of less than 10 cents on each ounce of metal. Not $10, 10 cents. Just wow.
So you have to ask yourself, how on earth can a gap this big even exist? Well, that analyst report that got us all started, it has a very clear theory.
The argument is actually pretty simple. The company is just fundamentally misunderstood and totally overlooked. It's a classic forgotten stock with a world-class asset that nobody has bothered to look at with fresh eyes and current metal prices. And this chart just puts that discount into perfect visual perspective. Blende is getting valued at 10 cents an ounce. Meanwhile, its peers, other similar companies, they're trading at an average of $1.50 an ounce. That's a potential 15 times difference.
So this is why its supporters are calling it one of the most asymmetric risk-reward plays out there. The idea is, how much lower can it really go? The downside seems limited, but the upside, if the market just wakes up and values it like its peers, well, that could be enormous.
But okay, let's be real. In the world of finance, there's rarely a free lunch. It can't be that simple, right? We have to ask the tough question, why is this discount there in the first place?
And this next part is maybe the most important thing to understand. There's a huge difference between a resource and a reserve. A resource means, yeah, the metal's probably there, we've drilled it. But a reserve means you've done all the work to prove you can actually get it out of the ground profitably, and Blende isn't there yet.
And this right here is the entire argument against it. Blende has all the classic challenges of an early-stage explorer. It doesn't make any money, it's going to need millions and millions of dollars to move forward, and raising that money could dilute the stock for current shareholders. Mining exploration is a high-risk game, period.
Which brings us right back to the central question, the $1 million, or in this case, the $2 million question. Is this a massive once-in-a-decade opportunity that's been overlooked by a lazy market? Or is that rock-bottom price actually a fair warning about all the risks that lie ahead? The answer to that will determine if Blendera silver is a hidden gem or just a beautiful but ultimately worthless rock in the ground.